Hello FlossTube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as Forbidden Fiber Co. Today is Sunday, February 2nd, and this is my 41st FlossTube. It's been about 3 weeks since I filmed the last video, and I've actually been trying to get everything together to film for about a week now, and it just hasn't worked out. So it's going to be a little discombobulated. I've got things in project bags. Nothing's been taken out of the Q-snap, and we're just going to see how it goes. I've been getting lots of stitching in. I have had some travel and some other things I've had to do. So I've had some, most of my stitching time is usually on the weekends, and so I haven't had a lot of that. But I've definitely been getting things done, and I'm excited to show you progress because like I mentioned in my last video, I have this whole new rotation thing that I'm trying out, and I'm really, really loving it. So let's just get straight to it. The first project I have, as always, is Marvel Heroes. I am stitching this as a present for my husband, and in an attempt to expedite filming and getting ready for and cleaning up from said filming, I am going to see how popping pictures in the corner of my finished project will go as opposed to taking out sheets and all that stuff. And I think I have my phone set up differently than I normally do. So if I look like I'm looking that way, it's because that's where my camera normally is. And yeah, it's weird. Anyway, okay, Marvel Heroes. Let's just show and then I'll talk. I'm going to show it like this so I can pop a before photo up above. This is a pattern. This pattern's no longer available on Etsy. I don't know if any other sellers have charted it, but the shop that I bought it from has disappeared. I'm stitching it 2/1 on 16 count easy guide, and I'm stitching it as a gift for my husband. And this is my focus piece for this year because I'm hoping for a 2026 finish. So I stitch about 50 stitches on this every day. And I did some math yesterday at the after the month of February, and I stitched a total of 1,931 stitches in the month of January, which is an average of about 62 stitches a day. My goal is 18,000 stitches in 2025, so I'm doing pretty good. It's really hard to see progress on this, only stitching 50 stitches a day. So I did a side-by-side comparison yesterday and I posted it on Instagram. But I'm stitching top to bottom, left to right using Stitch Your Mommy's typewriter method. So I started out over here and I stitched in here, and I think I had stitched some of this on my last video, and then I finished here, and I can't remember his name. My husband told me, but I don't remember. And that's Dr. Strange. And then I came back over here and I finished out her face, except for one little stitch in her neck. And I did a lot of her, I think that's a cloak, or like the front part of a cape. And then I've been stitching his face, and in here, his outfit. And my husband told me last night that these are Scarlet Witch's kids. Who knew? And then I'm working currently on Captain America. After I stitch 50 stitches-ish on Marvel Heroes, I then switch to Sleigh Bells Ring. I don't know if that's the actual name of it. Hold, please. It's called Sleigh Ride. It's by Praiseworthy Stitches. And I am stitching this with Sarah, Memphis Sarah E, and Zan, Crazy Band Lady Stitches. But I don't think Zan has actually started it yet, so who knows. But I'll post a picture here. I split it up into 13 parts. And the idea is to stitch one part per month, and I started in December. I hadn't finished the first part as of my last video, so I was still working on that, and I am working on the second part now. I'm not done, but those first two parts were really heavy stitching, and February's part is much smaller, so I'm hopeful that I can finish part 2 and part 3 and be caught up for a December finish. I stitch on this 30 minutes a day after Marvel. Still on the Q-snap, but that's where I'm at. I am stitching this in a mishmash of fibers. That's what my floss ring looks like right now. It's totally not finished. I haven't gathered all the floss. I'm kind of converting as I go. It calls for mostly Fancy Floss, a combination of like Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts and Kreiniks and blending filaments and all of that. This blending filament right here, which is this green, I blend it with 1 strand of Steamed Broccoli by Classic Colorworks. I hate it. Hate it. I should have picked it out when I was only part of the way through, and I thought, no, it's okay. I don't want to pick it out. I'll finish it. I should have picked it out. But however, I did swap out this red right here. Was supposed to be more blending filament, and again, 1 strand blending filament, 1 strand of Fancy Floss, and I went to my LNS and I got this so much better. But I wasn't paying attention to my pattern, and when I was stitching this line right here, there's a whole bunch of breaks in it. Number one, there was supposed to be a couple stitches from the L's in there, a couple of animal feet and stuff like that, so I have to pick that out and restitch it. And then the rest of it, I'm just doing leftover Forbidden Fabrico floss from model stitches that I've done. And I'm just kind of converting it as I go. I've basically worked on this 30 minutes a day, every day. So whatever that equates to for the last 3 weeks. I did stitch on it a little bit longer yesterday. I was stitching around this R with the white part, and I really wanted to get it done because I really do want to get caught up in February, and so I know that might take a little bit more than 30 minutes a day to get this first part done. After I stitch on those 2 pieces, I then do my seasonal stitching, which after I did my whip parade on January 1st, as I was packing up all of my projects, I split them into different seasons, so, you know, winter, spring, summer, and fall, and then I have some pieces that really don't fit into a season, and that's what I call my year-round pieces. So I have 3 whips or works in progress that I deemed to be winter projects. Words are hard. And so I put those on a wheel and I spin it every day after I finish Sleigh Ride. And I work on that for either 30 minutes if it's not a full coverage, or 100 stitches if it is full coverage. So the first project in the winter projects is the Reader, which is a Needlebook by the Primitive Hare. I'll put the picture up here. And it's not really a winter project, but it gives me winter feels with the color palette and everything. I converted it because it's very black and brown and white, and I wanted something a little more colorful. So I converted it into, again, leftover Forbidden Fabrico Fancy Flosses. These are my colors, and I'm actually going to add a beigey color in there. I'll show you where. And I am stitching it on 30 Count Winter Frost by the Primitive Hare. And there's where I'm at. My wheel really likes this project. I have it set to repeat, so I can stitch the same winter project more than 1 day in a row. I don't have to stitch all 3 before I start over. And I would say it picks this project like 3 or 4 days out of the week. I don't know what it is. It's been doing that since I started this. So I have basically gotten this bookshelf done. I had started it on my last video, but I was able to finish it and get started on the books. And the place where I'm going to put the tan is, this bookshelf is basically full coverage. And so the backing of the bookshelf was supposed to be this color. And I just I'm not liking it, so I'm going to switch it to like a tannish beige color. I feel like it will be more like a wooden bookshelf. I did find a mistake yesterday where this shelf is 1 stitch too short, and so I'm just going with it, and I've shortened all the books. The next winter project that I spin for is Silent Night. It is charted by Artecy, and I have completely forgotten to write down the name of the artist, so I'll put it down below in the notes. I worked on this, I honestly don't know how many days, because there was a whole week where I didn't write anything down. I do know it was about 300 stitches, and that's where I'm at now. And I don't really have a strategy for this right now. I'm just kind of, I go out and then I go down, and then I go out and then I go down, and I'm just filling in where I fill in. But each strand that I do is between 100 and 130 stitches. So that tends to be what I do in a night when I do spin this, is usually 115 to 130 stitches. That's why I think I've stitched about 300 stitches on it. So there's that. I'm stitching this with Leann from Small Town Stitches. We started it together back in December. And I've been really bad about telling you about fabrics. This is 25 count easy guide, and I'm stitching it 1/1 full cross. My third and final winter project is Winter Montage. It is artwork by Janet Stever, and I am doing the version that is charted by Paine Free Crafts. There is a stitch along. It's Stever Montage Sal, I believe, on Instagram, and it's doing all 4 seasons. This is where I'm at. The wheel really doesn't like this project at all. I think I've only brought it out 3 times this whole month, which is kind of a bummer for me because I really wanted to make some progress on this. So I am actually considering changing the wheel so that it blacks out after, or it eliminates it after I spin. So I will go to working on every project before I start over. We'll see. But I've just been filling in. I am doing this one top to bottom in 10 by 10 squares, except there's a green color that I'm missing. So that's why a lot of this green isn't filled in. I keep a running list of DMC that I need so that whenever I can hop down to the craft store, I can grab some, and I just haven't made it there. So that's why this is still a little bit empty. I stitched about 300 stitches on this as well in the last 3 weeks. I totally forgot, but that is 2/1 10th stitch on 28 count easy guide. Okay, so after I stitch on my winter pieces, 100 stitches or 30 minutes, I then have 2 more wheels of my quote unquote year-round projects. One I have deemed my year-round full coverage, and these are larger full coverage pieces that I want to make progress on, but I don't intend to finish anytime soon. The second wheel is what I call my focus wheel, and those are projects that I would like to finish in the shorter term. So I alternate spinning between those 2 wheels, and I spend 3 days on each project. And I do have those wheels black out. So once I spin a project and then work on it for 3 days, I won't work on it again until I've made my way through the whole wheel. So the first project that I spun was full coverage. And I think I showed this in the last video. I might have been in the middle of my rotation on it. I'm not sure. Oh, I guess I should put up here. It's called the Hobbiton. I bought it on Etsy. Again, I don't remember. I need to get a sheet in front of me that has all this information on it, but I'll put it down below. And I started this again with Leann from Small Town Stitches. And I think there might be some other people working on it, but I don't remember for sure. And here is where I got. I did not write down how many stitches I got on this, but I am doing 10 by 10 block top to bottom, that typewriter method by Stitch and Mommy, and I am stitching over here. So I got, this time I finished the 10 by 10 block in this blue section, and I started this gray section. And you can't really tell on the screen, but there are so many different shades of tealy blue aqua in here, and there are blends, and it's my first time stitching full coverage with blends, and I love it. And I am stitching at 2/1 full cross on 28 count easy guide. The next project I spun was off of my focus wheel, and it's actually a full coverage project. However, it's a small full coverage project that I can totally finish. It is Sea Glass by Carolyn Manning. I'll put a picture right there. And yeah, I haven't worked on this project in like 2 years. I started it in like May of 2020 or June of 2020 with a bunch of other people that were starting Carolyn Manning designs. And I really enjoyed stitching on this. I got 1,750-ish stitches done in 3 days. And basically, it's a little unwieldy. It's very unwieldy. Basically, I got all of this done. And I've forgotten how meditative stitching on this is. And basically I did the typewriter method again, so I have hit the edge of the piece. And I just did, instead of a 10 by 10 block, I basically did a square by a square. And I just started in the top right corner and I did that color and I stitched a whole strand. And each strand is about 50 stitches. So I can get 5 of these little corners done, or I can get 1 of these diamonds and 1 corner done, is about what it works out to. This is on 14 count Silver Moon Aida Zweigart, and I'm stitching 2 over 1. I'm kind of sad to put this one away until I make it through my whole rotation, but I think based on how many stitches I got done in this rotation that I might be able to finish it this year, depending on how things go. And then I flipped back to my full coverage wheel after that, and I have worked 2 out of 3 days on my next project, which is Reader's Paradise, artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Hare, Heaven and Earth Design. I'll put a picture up here. I love this chart, but it's massive. It's like 375,000 stitches. And so I think I'm going to be working on it for quite a while, but I love it every time I pull it out. I'm stitching 1 over 1 full cross on 25 count easy guide. And that's where I'm at. I've stitched about 600 stitches on it in 2 nights. My stitching time hasn't been as prevalent the last couple of days. So this is the piece that unfortunately is feeling the brunt of that, because normally I can stitch about 500 stitches per night on a focus piece. Even on the weekend too, which is weird. Normally I have a lot more stitching time on the weekend. So I finished this page. I don't remember exactly where the page break is, but I finished this page last year. And so I'm kind of working on finishing this page. So I've been working in here and I'm just taking a strand and a color. I find the next symbol and I stitch the color everywhere. So I've worked a lot in here, and I've worked some in here and some down here. And again, each strand gets me about 115 to 130 stitches. So I don't get a lot of progress on the actual page. I think the page actually ends right here. I don't get a lot of progress on the actual page, but I'm getting lots of progress elsewhere. And I'm okay with that. I think after I finish this page, I'm gonna go down here and I might work these pages page by page diagonally as opposed to all the way across, because it's wider than it is tall. And the other option would be to work down in a 10 by 10 block, and that's just not appealing to me right now. So I think I am going to work page by page for the most part, just in how I pick my symbols. It's funny how we choose to play games like that. Just keeps it interesting, I guess, keeps me motivated. That is everything that I stitched for the last 3 weeks. I wanted to show you some knitting real fast, so I'm gonna go grab that. And then I have some books. I've been reading a lot of books, so be right back. Okay, so before I get into knitting, I'm gonna do a little bit of shop news. Last time I filmed, we were just getting ready to release a new Gilmore Girls yarn collection. It's the winter collection, and that's in the shop now. I'll put a picture up here. And then we also did one of our mystery kits. It's called I Smell Snow. And we still have some left up for pre-order, but we are making those right now to ship in 2 weeks. They'll ship February 14th. So the choices are limited now, but we do still have some in the shop. Last Friday, which was 2 days ago, because today's Sunday, we released a collection that I am so excited about. In case you didn't know, if you're not a book person, Onyx Storm, which you can see Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm right there. Onyx Storm released a week and a half ago on Tuesday. I don't remember the date, but I love this series. Before Onyx Storm released, I reread Fourth Wing for the 3rd time. I reread Iron Flame for the 2nd time. Wait, Fourth Wing for the 3rd time. I can't remember if I said 3rd or 4th. Iron Flame for the 2nd time, and then I read Onyx Storm, and I just love them. And fantasy novels aren't for everyone. And this is technically considered a romantasy genre because there is some romance in it. But it's honestly the best world building I have seen since Harry Potter. And I keep telling everyone that, and that's the thing that I think captivates so many people about Harry Potter is the world building is exquisite. And I really feel the same about these books. And whether or not the story or the plot is to your liking, Onyx Storm was a little bit slow for me to get into the book talk, but the world is just amazing and it overtakes everything else. Anyway, so we released a yarn collection on Friday, and I'll put a picture of it here. There's 10 colors in it, 5 variegated and 5 semi-solid, and I just love it. And I have so many more colorways planned. I haven't been this creatively inspired by a book series probably since Outlander. So yeah, it's exciting for me just as an artist to have all these colors in my head that go with this book series. Anyway, for knitting, when I released the colors on Instagram, a designer contacted me. Her Instagram handle is Featherbox Art. I believe I'll put it right here if I'm wrong. And she designed 2 shawls, one knit shawl and one crochet shawl called Dreaming Dragon. And it's inspired by the Fourth Wing series as well. And I immediately cast on for the knit one. I cast on yesterday. And this is where I'm at. Look how it curls, and it's got the little dragon scales, and it's a very soothing, meditative knit, and it's perfect for listening to a book, or if you can read and knit at the same time, which I can because I figured out on my phone how to get the Kindle pages to automatically turn for me. It's perfect. So that's where I'm at, and I love the way this color is knitting up. This is the Iron Flame color because, well, number one, it kind of matches the book cover, and number two, it just fits what an Iron Flame is, which is essentially dragon fire that they use to activate a ward stone, which is what protects the citizens of Navarre. Anyway, so that's the knitting that I've been doing. That's really all I've been doing. I finished a sweater earlier this month, and I kind of been cross stitching instead of knitting. So I'm excited to have something on my needles again. And then on top of that, more shop news. Along with the yarn collection, we are starting a new stitch along, a new SAL. It's called the Empyrean SAL, and it is Fourth Wing inspired. I'll put the graphic up here, and I'll also put, when you buy the pattern or the kit, you get the first part right away, so you can start stitching if you are stitching from stash, or our kits are shipping February 28th, and so you can start stitching as soon as you get your kit in the mail. So yeah, I'm really excited. I love the way this pattern came out, and I can't wait to see everybody stitching on it. So join us if you would like. Like I said, you get the first part of the pattern immediately. You can begin stitching from stash. Our kits are on pre-order right now, and they'll be shipping February 28th, and then you'll have about a week and a half or so to stitch the first clue, which you can tell from the picture that I post is not that big. It's not like the previous stitch alongs that we've done that were very frame heavy, and you had a lot of stitching to do before you got to that first clue if you wanted to do all the frames. So I'm excited. It's going to be an 8-part pattern, and the new section will drop every Monday starting March 10th, I want to say. Okay, books. I read a lot in January. Again, I'm having fun with graphics today, so I'll put a graphic up there. I read 17 books in January. Yeah, 17. 2 of them were for our book club novel notions that we do in the shop. There's a cross stitch version and a yarn version. And I read a lot of fantasy this month. And I actually read, like I said, I reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and then I read Onyx Storm, and then on top of that, I finally read Divine Rivals, which a friend recommended to me months and months and months ago, and I had it downloaded on Kindle Unlimited for a long time and never picked it up, and then I got rid of Kindle Unlimited, And so I had to wait for a copy from the library on the Libby app for months. And it finally came, and I finally listened to it, and it was amazing. And then Reckless Vows, which is the second book. Ruthless Vows, I'm confusing two different series. Ruthless Vows, again, has a months-long wait, but I got to skip the line copy, but it's the Kindle version, not the audiobook version. So I'm working my way through that. I have less time to read actual books as opposed to listening, because I listen while I work, while I dye yarn and fabric and stuff. Slow down. Anyway, so I read that and loved it. I'm working on Ruthless Vows now. And then I also finally read Powerless, which is by, I don't remember her name. Another book I waited months for. And then I read it and loved it. And I'm again waiting months. And I went to Walmart the other day to buy, I left my copies of the Fourth Wing books at home, and I wanted to use them in my photographs. So I ran to Walmart to get some copies to use in my photographs and keep at work. And I saw the Powerless and Reckless duo, because the third book comes out, I think, in April. And I saw it there, and it took everything I had to not buy them, because I know I don't have time to read a paper book right now, but I want to. So right now it's on hold at Libby, and depending on how things go, I might use my next Audible credit to get it instead, because I don't know that I can wait. On top of that, I read some cozy mysteries. I read another one in the Amish Candy Shop series. I read 3 more in the Coffee Bookshop series. And like I said, I read 2 for our book club. One was The Personal Librarian, which is the story of, I'm going to blank on her name because I'm filming, and that's what happens when I film. But she was J.P. Morgan's personal librarian, and she helped him build the Morgan Library in New York City in the 30s, I want to say, which was pre-civil rights. And she was Black, and she had a light enough complexion that she lived as a white person and kept that secret. And it's all dramatized based on her life. But when she died, she burned everything so that she wouldn't get found out. And someone was doing research on J.P. Morgan's descendants, I think, and figured it out. Looked up her birth certificate, I think, and it was just an amazing story. How powerful she became by having the weight of J.P. Morgan and his fortune behind her. And then the other book I read for book club is The Wishing Game. And again, I'm blanking on the author because that's what I do. And it was the story of a young woman. She was 26, and she desperately wanted to adopt a little boy whose parents had died, and he was in the foster system, and she was his tutor. And she did not have the money or a car or a place to live. And so she got rejected out of the foster to adopt system. And it was a whole thing with their favorite author of children's books that she had loved since she was a kid. And he had this whole contest to win a copy of his next book, the only copy of his next book. And so he brought 4 adults that he had known since they were kids to his island. And they competed in these mostly mind game, like puzzle type games. It was just very emotional, unexpectedly so. Anyway, that's kind of a highlight. I read a lot. I can't tell you about all of them, or we'll be here all night. But anyway, I think that's it for me today. I have some errands to run. It's already like 4 o'clock on Sunday, and I have to plan out my week and do some grocery shopping and do some laundry and all of that other stuff that comes with Sundays. I hope that you are having a good day, whatever time of day or whatever day of the week it is. I hope you're getting lots of stitching or knitting or crocheting or reading or whatever it is you like to do. Bye.